Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty fascinating, a community event planning toolkit, specifically from this group, Charlotte Together. And we found this idea in there that just seems, well, completely backwards at first glance.
It really does. It's this counterintuitive social insight, for anyone who kind of dreads walking into a room full of strangers. These sources, they actually argue that hosting an event, like setting it up yourself, can be easier and surprisingly less stressful than just attending one.
Wow, okay. Yeah, that definitely flies in the face of, well, everything you'd assume, right? Because hosting sounds like pressure. Logistics, perfect snacks, worrying if people are mingling. It seems like way more stress.
It sounds like swapping small talk stress for like massive event management stress.
Yeah.
But this guide, it flips that completely. It redefines what hosting even means in this context. The core idea is that hosting gives you purpose. It gives you structure at the event.
Purpose? How so?
Well, you're not just standing there awkwardly wondering who to talk to. You have a job, an explicit mission. Connect people. You kind of become the natural center point,
Right.
and people gravitate towards you because you're the designated host, the connector.
Okay, I'm starting to see it. So it's less about performing, trying to be interesting, and more about actively engaging, making it easier for others to connect. So our mission for this dip dive is basically to unpack how this works. How do you go from being that nervous attendee to a confident, intentional connector using these ideas?
Exactly. And that structure, that purpose, it's a huge boost for social confidence. You stop worrying about, do I fit in? And you start focusing on, how can I help others fit in?
Right.
And the sources say this whole thing really starts with authenticity. That's the bedrock.
Right, authenticity. Let's dig into that because, if I'm nervous about hosting, my first instinct might be to pick something super popular, even if it's not really me.
Yeah, and that's the trap. The whole foundation needs to be built on what you genuinely like. If you try to host, say, a fancy cocktail night, but you'd rather be playing board games, you'll be stressed. People will sense it. It'll feel forced. Community hosting isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about finding your people, the ones who like what you like. When it comes from a place of genuine interest, the event just feels more effortless, more welcoming, because it's real.
I like that. And the guide lists a whole bunch of different event formats, which is helpful. It shows you don't need some huge, complicated plan.
Definitely. They give really good examples of low-pressure stuff that works. Like, think about coffee and conversation on a weekend morning. Super casual, right? Low stakes. It has a natural endpoint. Calm energy.
Or game nights.
Yeah.
They suggest hosting those maybe at a brewery or some other casual place. Which is smart because the game itself, it becomes the icebreaker. People focus on playing, not on feeling awkward.
Exactly. Shared activity takes the pressure off. You also see things like outdoor adventures, just a simple hike or a walk in the park. Again, the setting and the activity do a lot of the work for you. They mention creative meetups too, like for art or writing, or activity-based things like, bowling or even a potluck. Basically, if you're into something, that's your starting point. That's the anchor.
And they have this great advice about choosing the venue. They call it finding a co-host, picking a place that kind of does half the work for you. What does that mean exactly?
It means leveraging the existing vibe, finding spots that have natural little areas for conversation where the noise level isn't overwhelming, so you're using the atmosphere that's already there. The guide mentions specific places in Charlotte, like Amelie's French Bakery or Undercurrent Coffee, just as examples of places that feel cozy, that encourage people to chat. But the idea works anywhere. Find a place that feels like a big living room, not some empty hall.
Okay. And for something maybe a bit louder, like those game nights?
Right. They suggest places maybe like Highwire Brewing or Soul Food Meat Co., places that are already set up for groups. Expect a bit more noise. It shows you can adapt.
Got it. That makes sense.
And here's a really practical tip they give. Visit the place you're thinking about at the same time and day you plan to hold your event. A cafe might be perfect Saturday morning, but totally packed and loud Tuesday evening. You got to check the actual conditions. Giving them a heads up helps too. Many places appreciate knowing a group is coming.
Oh, that's a really good point. Nail down the logistics.
Okay.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit to the mindset, because this is where the fear really kicks in for a lot of people, right? The guide says you have to stop thinking of yourself as the entertainer.
Absolutely crucial. You're the facilitator, the connector, the catalyst. Your job isn't putting on a flawless show. It's intentionally bringing people together who might not otherwise connect. Realizing that takes off so much pressure. You don't have to perform constantly.
So the big mistake is feeling like you need to be the life of the party. Telling jokes, being on all the time. It's less showman, more like An air traffic controller for conversations, guiding people gently.
That's a great way to put it. Air traffic controller for conversations.
Yeah.
And that mindset, that reframing, it leads directly to some really practical actions. They have a kind of checklist.
Okay, let's walk through that checklist. What are the must-do things?
So first, the tactical stuff. Arrive 15 minutes early. And that's not for fussing with decorations. It's to claim your space, settle your own nerves, get comfortable before anyone walks in.
Makes sense. Get grounded first. What's next?
Then comes the one that takes maybe a little bit of courage but pays off immediately. Greet every single person within 30 seconds of them arriving.
Whoa, okay, 30 seconds. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
Especially if you're feeling nervous yourself. Why so quick?
Well, think about it from the attendee side. It completely removes that awkward moment of them hovering in the doorway, scanning the room, feeling lost. You make them feel seen right away. And for you, the host, it stops you from having to awkwardly break into groups later. It's structured, proactive.
Okay. Less awkwardness overall. And you lead with purpose. The checklist says use connection-building questions right away.
Yeah, move beyond just nice weather, huh?
Yeah.
Ask things like, how'd you hear about Charlotte Together? Or what made you decide to come to this event tonight? These open things up. They give you info you can use for the really important next step, making intentional introductions.
Ah, the connector role in action. So not just Bob, meet Sue.
Exactly. You bridge the gap.
Yeah.
You say, Alex, I want you to meet Jordan. You were just saying you love hiking trails, and Alex mentioned that too.
Mm-hmm.
You give them an immediate, concrete thing to talk about. It validates both of them.
That little bit of validation probably goes a long way, shows you're actually listening. And the checklist also mentions making sure to loop in anyone who looks isolated.
Yeah, gently drawing them into a nearby conversation, making sure no one's left standing alone for too long. And then finally, facilitating follow-ups. Little things like offering to take a group photo so people have a shared memory, or even just mentioning another upcoming event. It just helps cement the connection and gives people an easy way to maybe exchange info later if they want.
Okay, this all sounds good, but let's talk about the big fear. The elephant in the room. What if hardly anyone shows up? That empty feeling.
Right, the fear of the empty table, that feeling of personal failure. And the sources have a brilliant take on this. Small events build stronger connections. Seriously, think about it. 4 people having real deep conversations. That's way better than 15 people making awkward small talk. Quality over quantity.
So lean into the smallness.
Absolutely. If fewer people show up than you expected, reframe it instantly. Don't apologize. Say something like, oh, great, we've got a nice small group tonight. Perfect chance for us to really chat and get to know each other. And then maybe ask slightly deeper questions. Focus on the quality of interaction, not the head count.
I love that. Turning a potential negative into a positive feature. Low attendance becomes intimate gathering. That's a powerful shift. Okay, so we've talked strategy, but we really need to hit those specific fears head on. The toolkit lists 4 big ones that stop people.
Yeah, let's break them down. These are the real hurdles for a lot of folks.
First one, I'm too introverted to host. This feels like a big one. Hosting seems like peak extrovert territory.
It does. But the guide argues, and I think this is spot on, that introverted hosts often create the most welcoming spaces. Why? Because introverts intuitively understand what it feels like to need structure, to need an invitation into the conversation. They design events for comfort, for connection, not for chaos. If you yourself appreciate quieter interactions or clear activities, you'll naturally create that vibe for others.
That actually makes a ton of sense. You built the party you'd want to attend. Okay, quick follow-up then. If introverts are good because they design for comfort, what's the common mistake an extrovert might make when hosting?
Oh, good question. Often, it's trying too hard to be the entertainer. They might accidentally dominate the conversation, They mistake facilitation for performance. It becomes about them, not about connecting the attendees to each other. The best hosts, introverted or extroverted, know when to step back.
Right, let the connections happen. Okay, fear number 2. What if no one shows up? The nightmare scenario.
This is where hosting, as part of a larger community group, like Charlotte Together in the example, really helps. You're not just shouting into the void. There's already a community of people looking for these kinds of events. The team promotes events through their website, social media, Discord newsletter, multiple channels. You're tapping into existing interests, not building it from scratch.
Okay, so there's a safety net, less chance of tumbleweeds. Good. Fear number 3. What if I don't know what to say? That self-consciousness, feeling like you need to be clever.
Yeah, the pressure to be witty. The toolkit is really reassuring here. It basically says, simple curiosity is your best friend. Forget trying to be clever. You don't need a script. Just ask basic, open-ended questions. How long have you lived here? What kind of things do you enjoy doing? Remember, listening is more important than talking. Your job is to get them talking to each other, not to deliver a monologue.
Just be interested, not necessarily interesting. I like that. Okay, final fear. What if something goes wrong? Logistical nightmares. Bad weather, venue mix-up, spilling drinks.
The key insight here is that community events are incredibly forgiving. People really, really appreciate the effort, the heart behind it. They care way more about genuine connection than perfect execution. Minor screw-ups, honestly, they often become funny, shared moments that actually break the ice. We stress way too much about perfection.
People just want to connect. They're grateful someone made the effort. And it sounds like you're not totally alone in this either. There's support.
Definitely. Within this model, the support structure is key. They help with promotion, sometimes venue coordination, they offer guidance on hosting. They even provide resources afterwards to help attendees stay in touch. You're the face, the facilitator, but you're not carrying the whole burden alone.
So for someone listening, maybe feeling inspired but still a bit hesitant, what are the first steps?
The guide suggests 2 clear paths. One, you can just dive in, go to their host page, get started. They'll help you pick a format, figure out logistics.
Okay, jump right in. Or
path 2, attend a few events first, but with a specific purpose. Go as an observer.
Watch the current host. See how they greet people, how they make introductions, how they handle the flow. Learn by watching.
That can really build your confidence before you decide to take the lead yourself.
That's great advice. Observe, then act. So when we boil it all down, this whole idea of hosting, it's not really about being the perfect party planner.
Not at all. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that your unique interests, whether it's coffee, board games, hiking, whatever, that's exactly what the community needs. Your niche is valuable.
Every event probably started because someone thought, I wish there was a regular meetup for people who love, and they just decided to make it happen.
Exactly. You create the connection you want to see in the world. The expertise isn't some external skill you need to learn. It's already inside you. It's your personality, your passions.
Okay, so if we take this core idea seriously, that hosting is easier than attending because it gives you that clear, intentional role, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other parts of our lives, maybe social situations, maybe even professional networking, could be made less stressful, more effective if we stopped passively waiting for connection and instead focused on giving ourselves an explicit purpose in that situation?
That is definitely something to mull over. A really interesting thought to leave folks with.
Go create the connection you want to see. Thanks for tuning into the deep dive. We'll talk to you next time.